What's the deal with the,
We didn't go red yet.
is there, are we gonna pull off the, is there a voting machine on here? Or
Bills for introduction.
what is it, Bill? What is it, Bill?
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's the September 29th meeting of the St. Charles County Council. We begin each meeting with invocation, and tonight Pastor Brad Riley from Faith Chapel of O'Fallon is here to lead us in prayer.
Thank you for the opportunity to pray tonight. And my little 9-year-old, when she heard this was for the whole county, she was very concerned that I was going to blow this prayer. So I'll try to just do what should come naturally at this point.
Stand next to you, so
Yeah,
we
why
can
don't
be
you
on
do?
television
Why don't
as
you
well.
come do it with me here? All right. So, Heavenly Father, I thank you for the privilege of just being able to speak a blessing over this incredible group of people. I thank you that your word gives us wisdom. As a matter of fact, we're told in your word that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And so I just pray that the wisdom of God will flow through this meeting. I thank you for the county that we live in. Your word also says in Matthew 6:10, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I pray that the decisions that are made in this room tonight and every time they meet would help to make this county just a little bit more like heaven. I speak peace over them and blessing over them and favor over them. I thank you for our leaders, and I thank you for the guidance that you'll give them in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. God bless you.
Pastor. We
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Joe, if you'll lead us in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Joe Cronin.
Here by Skype.
Councilmember Joe Brazel.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Elam.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Klinghammer.
Here.
Councilmember Dave Hammond.
Here.
Councilmember Terry Hollander.
Here.
Councilmember John White.
Here. Okay, before we get started, I want to announce that we're a little bit of technology is coming to the St. Charles County Council. We have, thanks to a state law that was passed, we have one of our council members that, Mr. Cronin, Joe Cronin, that couldn't be with us. So he is Skyping in, I believe, from Lake of the Ozarks or thereabouts. Joe's able to hear what we have going on, and when he wants to chime in and say something, his image will appear on the big screen. So, Joe, can you hear us all right?
Yes, I can.
Great, we can hear you well too. Thank you. Okay, we got that done. First thing we have is a public hearing to set the 2014 tax rates. We need to, what do we need to do? Make a motion to,
Just your announcement was fine.
okay. Is there anybody that would like to speak about that? Mr. Dienoff?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the County Council. A.C. Dienoff, County Resident and Public Advocate. The tax rate, I'm requesting that the tax rate for the county remain the same as in tax year 2013. Councilman White tells you every year that you get county government for a bag of peanuts. Well, that's true on the general property tax side, but that's not the true story. Every time that any citizen or resident of St. Charles County goes to any grocery store, any convenience store, any retail establishment within the boundaries of our county, we are paying sales tax that fund the majority, probably 95% of our county government, and the general revenues that pay for employees, benefits, vehicles, supplies to run and operate our county government. So each county resident that is a resident that shops and buys goods and services and supplies in St. Charles County, he's paying a pretty hefty price in the amount of a sales tax. Also, I want to bring to the attention is that every county resident, when they buy something or purchase something, pays 1/2 cent sales tax, and that goes to a special road and bridge fund that goes to operate the county road board that gives out grants to municipalities and the unincorporated part that takes care of our transportation department. So I asked that the tax rate for 2014 remain the same rate that it did in 2013 because we operate our levy, or we operate our general funds and pay for employees and supplies to operate county government under sales tax. That's where the majority of the funds come from. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else like to speak about the 2014 tax rate? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. The motion carries. Next, we have a public hearing on traffic regulations. Is there anybody that'd like to address that particular subject?
Council comment? Can we make-
Yes. Yeah.
I got a question for Mr. Turkowski, please.
Can you
Craig?
lower your microphone? It's
Oh.
hard for it to go out.
I guess since you're here, Craig, I want to ask you a question. It's not specific to this, but I didn't want you to leave. On Fenmo Sage Creek Bottom Road, the bridge we're replacing.
Yes.
I'd called administration, asked questions, but I didn't get a response yet. So I need to know, you're closing that this week, right, or tomorrow?
October 1st, yes, is a scheduled date, yes.
Okay, so when we talked earlier a couple months ago, are you going to have a passage, low water cross or something to get through there?
Not for the general public, no. I mean, if there's a farmer, and my impression of your question when this came up before, I thought you were asking about a farmer that farmed both sides of the creek. Would he be able to get, from one side to the other without having to go around? And something like a farm tractor or something, the contractor can make provisions to get him through. We can't, we don't have anything in the project as far as school buses, general traffic, anything like that to be able to get through the work zone. It'll be closed down.
See, when we talked about this, we were going to do that, and the problem is the farmers are upset about it because they're going to be taking their harvesting right now, and they will be done at the end of October, and they're going to be filling their grain, and they'll have to go miles. You know that they'll have to go miles out of the way to bring to their farm or bring it up to New Melle or wherever they're bringing it. So they asked me if what we talked about was having a passage through there, and if that's not the case, is there any way is it really that big of a deal to push this off till the end of October? Because I've got multiple phone calls on it, and they're very concerned. And then the school bus, did we even consider the school bus? And why aren't we doing this in the summertime? Because the school bus is going to have to go miles out of the way.
Right. It's impossible to, with all the reviews and approvals and everything that these projects have to go through, especially with federal funds involved, it's impossible to target them to a certain time of the year because you can't pin those folks down on their reviews. We originally thought that this would be going during the summer, but again, there's no guarantees that it was going to happen. It finally got through the reviews, and so we put it out to bid. The longer two things to that, I guess my response would be, number one, that bridge is already marked with a 10-ton load limit. So technically, those farmers should not be using that bridge with loaded grain trucks. They're exceeding the weight limit on that thing. They're putting themselves and the rest of the public in danger by doing so, and they're also violating the law. Obviously, they do it. The second, there's really never a good time to close a road. I mean, if one group wants it to stay open, there's another group that probably will be just as upset, when it does finally get closed. Third thing is, the longer we wait, the more we're pushing it back into winter or to the fall weather, which could extend the time that it's actually closed. If we start getting, some bad weather, the contractor's not going to be able to work. So that closure time could actually be extended.
When you say that the farmers, you got the Mallinckrodt family, you got the Beatties, you got those guys that do have farms on both sides of the creek, and their farms on the opposite side of the Highway F side, and they'll be traveling multiple times during harvest. So are they allowed? When we talked on the phone, you were saying that would be an example of where they would be allowed to cross over the creek. So how are we going to determine? We told them
I can't say that anybody can drive through the creek. I mean, it's whoever's property that is, number one. Whoever goes through there is going to be trespassing. Number two, my original understanding of your question was that this was just a tractor that would need to get from one side to the other to maybe cut down some crops or plant some crops or whatever it was, because the time frame even then was unknown as to when this was going to happen. I don't think there's going to be a safe facility for anybody to drive large truck. Number one, the Corps of Engineers is not going to permit that kind of activity. You can't drive trucks through creeks and that kind of thing. So I don't think that would be something that we can make do for, or, make it possible for anybody to do. If that's what we're trying to do, then the solution would be to not do the project, at least, not now. But again, now we've got a contractor under contract, so whatever we do, whatever decision might be made, there's consequences to that that we would need to sit down and discuss with the contractor as far as his timing.
Craig,
You
can I
want-
ask, Joe raised the issue about the schools. Can you just review for the council that that was something that?
Yes, both schools were notified, Francis Holly and Washington. They were invited to a pre-construction conference. Washington School District had a representative there, did not raise any concerns at the time of the meeting, which was back in early September. We've still not heard any concerns from either Francis Holly or Washington. So I don't think that this is something that, I mean, we have not heard anything from them that says this is going to cause them a major problem.
But that puts them on the bus for 20, about, what, 20 more minutes or something? I mean.
It depends on what they do with their routes. I mean, they may alter their routes to where different buses pick up different kids while this is going on. I will say that the contractor's allowed a closure of 45 days. I don't see it taking that long. Again, there's extra time in there put in because of the possibility of weather impacts. But these bridges, these small bridges, they can get in there and knock those out pretty quick. So contractually, he's allowed 45, but I'm thinking we're probably looking at something closer to 30, actually, for that to get done. And it may even be shorter than that if he really wants to get in there and knock it out.
I mean, I got my answers. I'm not satisfied, but I got my answers.
Right. I don't see that it's really practical to move it back, is it?
I don't know. It's just a lot of people are really upset because it's not Craig's fault because this project has been earmarked for years, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's about
I mean-
a 3-year process to get something from the initial design to the thing.
But it's just typical government. It's like, why aren't we doing this in the summertime? And I understand what you said. I mean, construction, I get it. But then the schools, buses wouldn't be an issue. Harvest wouldn't be an issue. We're doing it right in the heart of harvest, doing it right in, school time. It's just bad planning, that's all. And the spec could have been written where it was a mandatory start date of May 31st, completed at July, whatever. I mean, we could
Well,
have bid it that way.
There could be, the federal funds tie our hands a little bit on that. Those funds have to be obligated by a certain time. So we don't have, and a contractor is going to be reluctant maybe to bid a project now that he knows he can't start work on until next summer, not knowing what kind of price increases he's going to be dealing with over that period. He wouldn't know what kind of, bid prices to make. I agree. It would have been better, it would have been easier if this would have worked out nice and we would have been doing it in the summer. But it's just so hard to pin things down that we just kind of let it play out and go.
The problem is, just so you guys know, you gotta go all the way around Warren County to get to some of them houses now. It's really a bad deal, but, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. I just thought maybe we could,
I
I
get-
think most of harvest would be done in 2 weeks. It could be
well, that's what
postponed
I'm
for just
saying. I
2
mean,
weeks.
that was what I was saying. That's what their biggest request was. Why can't they push it back to the end of October?
Well, not even the end. I think most of it will be done in 2 weeks.
Because it's really gonna cost them profit. I mean, major profit for little farmers. I don't know. I don't, that's
Well,
all.
I mean-
That was,
Okay.
We'll certainly work with the county executive's office if there's something that they would like to see us do, or to at least discuss with the contractor. We can certainly have those discussions.
Does anybody have any traffic regulation questions on the public hearing? Mr. Ellman?
Mr. Brazel, you said the kids will be on the bus an extra 20 minutes?
well, because some of the houses that live down Osage Creek, they gotta go all the way around T.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So if you're hauling your grain, it means it's going to
Same thing, yeah.
take an extra 20 minutes a load?
Multiple trips, yeah.
Okay.
Well, again, and I know that it's not my place to stop them, but they shouldn't be hauling across that bridge. If, let's say that they do haul across the bridge and it falls in, now we're looking at a closure of who knows how long before that thing gets
But,
back
Greg,
open.
that bridge, I mean, they've been running dump trucks across that bridge ever since.
Sure, I
mean,
can't say that it would happen, and I can't say that it wouldn't happen. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
Any other questions on traffic regulations? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing on traffic regs?
Motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. The public hearing is closed. Next, we have public comments. During this time, we allow people from the audience to come forward, and they have 3 minutes to speak on a subject. Once that subject's been opened, we'll alternate both pros and cons.
Hi,
Hi.
thank you. I'm Leslie Shaw. I'm a trustee for Centennial Farms, and I'm also the representative for Shade Tree Service that owns Lot 16 in regards to Bill number 4123. And we are strongly requesting that this is denied on several factors. And number one, that Mr. Percival was a trustee prior to this. He was fully aware of what was required. He didn't submit any plans. It went in without anybody knowing anything happened. Also, during the time in 2010, my father, the owner of Shade Tree Service, had a survey done. The whole property line in between the two was clearly marked, clearly staked. I have pictures which I provided. And I went out and met with Mr. Percival, and we talked about the encroachments that had existed at that time. And he had also dug into and excavated onto my father's property, which goes up 3 to 4 feet, and he didn't put a retaining wall. So which then leads to the future. He's also on the easement for utility, but he's only 1 foot off at the corner of the property line. So how do you have this dirt behind it? Eventually, it's going to fall. He's got 2 feet of gravel for running 26 or 28 foot into that property. And at that back corner, how is he not going to, for future, forever be able to maintain that with just 1 foot? And so it's not only what's happened in the past and what's not being upheld, but it's also for the future. And whoever were to buy that lot, it is for sale currently. I did go out and walk it. And the best place to build is right where that shed is, because the other half of the lot falls off. And so it's really kind of it's really put kind of a interesting position for future relations between Lot 15 and Lot 16. And because there's only 1 foot, that's it. And so how do you maintain it? How do you go to the structure that's so big and you've got behind, there's no retaining wall that was put in. He also never contacted my father ever until just a couple weeks ago, asking to buy 300 square feet. So that's where we are. But it makes it very difficult for the trustees to be able to do anything in the subdivision. We had also sent a letter to all the trustees, or to all the residents, stating that we were trying to begin to try to enforce, make sure that the subdivision looks good and maintains its value. And Mr. Percival also received that letter, and that was back, I think, in 2010. So he was fully aware, and that's where we are. So anyway, I just want to say thank you and would request strong consideration.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Does anybody else like to talk about Bill number 4123 relating to 15 Green Mountain Court?
Y'all know me, I'm Mr. Percival. As far as the construction fee, I thought that, even though I was a trustee, I thought that was just for a new home construction, not a shed. I did contact her father, tried to trade some property. I was looking for 300 square feet to pick up an easement, told him I would assume all responsibility for anything money-wise that had to be resurveyed, so forth. He didn't want to trade any property, offered him more property than what I was asking for, 300 square feet. Offered him more than a fair item for 300 square feet, offered him $500. He said the only thing he wanted to do was to sell the complete piece of property for $104,000. And I got hung up after that.
Okay.
So, if you've all seen the pictures of it, it's on a hill. If her opinion is that her property, that's the best place to put a house or something over on that side of the property, her whole piece of property is about as steep as that. So there's no really equal spot. Is it better over here or is it better over there, in my opinion? But that's just my opinion. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to talk about Bill number 4123? Okay, we'll close that particular subject. Anyone else want to talk about council-related or county-related issues? Mr. Dinoff.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. If you'll please give me some indulgence, I've got some photos that I would like to share with you. I don't know exactly how this works. Oh, maybe one. There we go. AC Dinoff, County Public Advocate and resident, and I'd like to address you on bid number 14/158 and bid number 14/170. 14/158 is dealing with Smartfield main terminal repair and renovation. I would like to ask the council, what is the worth and value of the main terminal building? In my opinion, and after talking to various people in county government and that use the airport, this building that you see depicted up on the screen is worth less than $200,000. It's a metal shed building that was constructed and just doesn't serve the purposes for today's operations. It would be more productive to demolish and raise the current metal shed building and start over. You can do a great deal with $400,000 in building a new building that is workable and functional. This is a bad use of taxpayer dollars. And I know part of it, I believe $150,000 is to drill a new water well for this property. But in my opinion, it's a bad use of taxpayer dollars, whether it's a grant or whether it's paid for by county taxpayers. Demeen, which has been recommended by the Department of Finance, is not the lowest bidder. I'm sorry, either the Department of Finance or the county engineer is not the lowest bidder by $33,000, roughly about 7 to 8% of the difference between the two submitted bids. The bid will include wood decking replacement, flooring replacement, office renovations for the director, a new railing, a metal canopy, and a water well and drilling associated with that. A letter of, there was a part of the bid, as you can see right here, there was a check mark that says that the bidder will comply with 100% of American supplies, American-made and purchased supplies. It's to comply with Title 49 USC, Section 50101, by installing steel and manufactured products produced in the United States of America. There was a letter that was sent, but was not evidently received by the county staff or by the county elected officials, which you sit in that position. And a letter of error and correction of a check mark was sent on August 8th. And I gave that to each one of your desks. You should all have a copy. That the purchase and usage of American supplies was 100%. This letter was sent from Freezy Construction and was sent to the county project architect, but never made it to you as elected officials. I'd like to ask why. Why are we giving a slant and favoritism to Demeen Construction? We're talking about $33,000 difference here, or 7 or 8%. I'd ask that you throw out the bids or award the bid to Freezy, the lowest and the compliant bid.
Wrap up your comments.
The last thing I'd like to say is on the election source for $21,750 is the lowest bid. Mr. Chisholm recommends to you a higher bidder to the tune of $4,000 extra dollars.
Thank you, Arnie.
And this is a
Appreciate your
no-brainer.
comments.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to address anything that related to county business? With that, we'll close the public hearing and move on to the consent agenda. I'm sorry, the oral report from County Executive.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to yield my time to Jennifer, who's going to make a presentation.
Hi.
Two items for you this evening. One quick note for you related to ribbon cuttings for Phase 3 of Page Avenue. Hopefully you've all seen, but just wanted to remind everyone that the opening of the first half of the new route of Phase 3 is going to be occurring this coming weekend on October 4th. The ribbon cutting ceremony will be held at 2 o'clock at Bryan Road. For those interested in any walk, run, bicycle riding of the section of road prior to that event, there's a 5K being held that starts at 7:30 in the morning that day, and you can register for that 5K. I think we've got a link to that site on our webpage. And thus far, there are 158 registered participants as of just this evening. And then there's also a separate public walk, run, and bike ride that you don't have to sign up for in advance, and that'll be occurring between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. At the same stretch, and information about parking locations as well as the opportunity to bring food goods for Operation Food Search is all available on our website, so encourage anyone interested to please check that out. And then wanted to, real quick, if Jack can switch over to my laptop here, wanted to show you all a little bit about the new county website that went live just over 10 days ago now. So yes, this is probably the most high-tech county council meeting we have ever had between Skype and the new website. So just wanted to walk you through a couple of new neat tools for you to use throughout the site. The first one I'll mention briefly is this Notify Me functionality. This is a location where you can, as a resident or as an employee or a county council member, can go in and sign up to get notifications by email or text message, should you like it, about a variety of events, publications, et cetera. So you can sign up to receive county newsletters. You can sign up to get notifications about when new bids are posted to the county website, and you can do that by category. So if you're only interested in receiving notifications about when bid openings are occurring or when bids have been posted as it relates to highway construction, you can sign up for that. Thus far, we've got 36 subscribers on the bid posting section. You can sign up to get news releases. You can sign up to receive notifications when new items are added to the county calendar. So if you wanted to get a news or a notification to your email of any time a new event goes on the website for the Parks Department, or a new meeting notice is posted for the Board of Zoning Adjustment, you could sign up for all of those notifications here in this one location. This has been a great location for just automation of almost anything in county government, and it's a good way for us even to communicate internally with county staff. And one thing I will note, that the email that you receive comes from civicplus.com, who's the vendor of the website. Those don't come from sccmo.org, so that first time you sign up, you might need to unblock that particular address so it doesn't get caught and go to your junk email folder. But that's a good new tool available to everyone, so I encourage you to check out what's available there. Second big new thing, if Craig is still here, we've got Report a Concern is over here on the left. This is the request tracker module of the new website. The Highway Department is the first department in county government to launch this new tool. This is a internal tool for us to be able to use when a resident wants to report a concern about a pothole, anything else of concern, and you'll see the categories listed here on the website. You can actually go in, log in, report your concern, put the location, put your contact information. Highway Department will get an email that issue has been submitted to them, and the resident will get an email back recognizing the submittal of that issue, and as it processes through between the staff person who initially receives that request, going out to the sheds, coming back in and having the work done, they'll get updates to be able to see that the issue is being addressed, and they'll always know kind of what the status is of that particular item. So we're kind of beta testing this with the Highway Department, and hope to be launching this across a variety of other departments and other activities where folks want to be able to interact with county government and see the results. Other items I will mention are related to the county calendar. There's always been a calendar on the website, but now for your benefit, I can see lots of uses for this here. If you've, I'd like to have your calendar or your meeting notices on your phone or your other mobile devices, or incorporated into the calendars that you're keeping. There's a subscribe by iCalendar function available to you up on the top, so that you could select which of your calendars you want to subscribe to. So essentially, that if we've got a county council meeting, all of them are scheduled for 7 o'clock, and if for some reason the meeting needs to get changed, if you've subscribed to the calendar, you'll automatically get the update of the new meeting notice, and it does all of the work for you so that it automatically pops up on your phone and you don't have to do any of that data entry yourself. Other item for you this evening, I know that Donna had shared some information out with you all related to the Agenda Center. There are a couple of different ways that you can use the Agenda Center from residents and council members if you're reviewing the packets from home in advance of the meeting. If you go to the section on the agendas and meeting notices, you've got all of your boards and commissions in one location. If you scroll down to the county council, you have a couple of places where you can click for information. If you click the date of the meeting, you'll get an HTML of the council agenda. From here, you can click on each of these blue links separately, and it will open up the PDF of just that particular item. So if all you care about is one particular bill and don't want to scroll through the 200-page packet, you can go here and click on that particular item. You will find that the larger the document you're trying to open, that it may load for you somewhat slowly. It's not instantaneous and perfect, but it certainly does save trying to dig through an entire packet if you only are there to try and find that one item. Second location you can go is over on the right. If you click the download button, you'll have a couple of different options. If you click on PDF, you'll open up, you'll download actually the PDF. This appears in a variety of different functions depending on your browser that you're using. But these are all still linked, so you'll be able from here to save the agenda or print it or do anything else that you'd like with it. And the links still exist, so you can click over to the particular items that you're interested in and just hit the back button to get back to the agenda again without having to look at the entire packet. Final item then is clicking download and clicking the packet selection. That's all 200 some odd pages. So that's what you're going to find, that if you're looking for that particular one, you'll see this is going to take a little bit of time. I think it downloaded on my tablet here in about a minute to get the entirety of everything that you always have received by email in the past. But hopefully this gives residents a couple of different options on how to get there and find the information that they want. Oh, and finally, the one other item I'll mention, well, a couple of things. One, you'll see there's a minutes column. So all of the meeting minutes will be consolidated there to that same location, so you'll easily be able to find those in the past. And there'll also be a media column here in the future where we'll link over to the video directly for that particular meeting so that you'll find all of that information about a particular meeting all in one location. And currently in the past, all of your documents that have become part of your packet are all scanned, so they're all a picture. So if you wanted to be able to find a particular word, you couldn't search anywhere and find the one PDF that's got the particular word in it that you're looking for. In the future, not for this meeting, but in future meetings, we'll be saving those and uploading those as full PDFs so that they're text searchable, so that if you are wanting to know something about a bill for Page Avenue, you can type in Page up in the global search toolbar of the entire website. And of course, on that particular term, you'll find a ton of different items for us, but will include in that list of returned items that particular PDF. And then this is also a good place that, right now as you're becoming familiar with the new website, trying to find the information that you used to find a particular way before, the global search tool does function really well. So if you can't find something, just type what you're looking for there and you'll very likely find it in your search results. So that's a vast improvement over the old website. So if you have any questions, you can certainly direct them to go through Donna, or feel free to contact Colleen or myself. We'll help you find whatever you need, but I think there's a lot of new tools here available on the site, so spend some time, click around, can't break anything, and see what works well for you. One thing I will share for you also, for those of you who do use social media as a tool connecting with residents, we now have a lot more functionality built into the site for sharing information through social media. So if you've clicked on a particular calendar event on the website and you know that that's something that would be something you'd share generally with folks, you've got your options there to be able to share through your Facebook page almost immediately and help get that information out to those who might be interested. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that overview of it. It's I like it. I think it's a lot easier to navigate through it. It takes a little getting used to. It's a different format, but I think it's overall, I think it's a lot better than what we had before. So appreciate all the hard work that went into it.
Yeah, and appreciate our IS department. Colleen McEntee behind me has obviously done a huge amount of work on the website, along with Corey Conway, who's one of our business analysts in the IS department. First time we've really implemented a full project in the IS department, and it came in on time, and that part is absolutely fantastic. He did a great job. And thanks also to the health department, who contributed some staff resources. Doug Bolnick, their public information officer, helped Colleen an awful lot in getting the site ready to go. So we appreciate all their efforts.
Thank you.
Mr.
Any
Chairman.
other comments on that particular item?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Now everybody knows why I yielded my time to the Director of Policy Research and Development.
Steve, you're not exactly known for your technology savviness there, so thank you again. We appreciate it, Jennifer. Next, does that conclude your comments?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have the consent agenda. I know that I'd like to pull off Airport Smart Field and talk about that separately. Is there anything else that any council members would like to pull off and discuss separately? Seeing none, is there a motion for the remainder of the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded for the remaining portion of the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Okay, let's talk about the airport bids. I guess first, Bob, if you could come up, we talk a little bit about, from a bidding standpoint, it makes me a little concerned when we only get one bid that comes in, and that bid is somewhere 40–50% higher than what the engineers had estimated. And I read through here, it talks about if we accept them, we have to be able to justify why and why it exceeds it by that much of a margin, and why we're not. Are we comfortable with accepting it and not rebidding the project?
Are you talking about the terminal rehab?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We had a couple of bids there, the Freezy bid as well as the Demeen bid. I don't remember exactly how many contractors this went out to, but it went out to a bunch. It was like 8 or 10 or some number like that. You may have that in your packets as well. This is a combined project of the rehab of the terminal building as well as the implementation of the water well for a new water supply at the airport complex. As to why it exceeded engineering estimates, I don't know, but we felt like we had two good bids. They were relatively close together. On the Freezy bid, our recommendation was to go with the Freezy bid. We recognized when we go through any bid, especially a bid that is involved with federal funding, we make sure that all the criteria of the bid is in compliance by the vendor. And we did notice that the Buy America certification, the checkbox was not checked. We went through a process then of trying to get MoDOT clearance on that. Since it was a compliance issue, we needed to make sure that if we went forward with our wishes of awarding the bid to Freezy, that we had MoDOT's approval of that deviation from the bid specification that said that they would certify that they buy American. There was no doubt they really would. We had conversations with the folks at Freezy. We had conversations with the folks at MoDOT. In the end, I asked our purchasing manager to secure MoDOT's full approval that if we got a subsequent report from an indication from Freezy that they would indeed be complying with buying American, that would MoDOT then allow us to go forward with the Freezy bid, because there was about a $33,000 difference between the two. We wanted the lower bid. The reports we had about Freezy were good. We had no reason to think that they would not be able to perform properly. MoDOT rejected our request in the end as they ran it up the chain, and they said no, because if this is a federal grant and they're under the scrutiny of the federal government, they felt like they needed to have that checkbox checked at the time the bid was submitted. Otherwise, it's a non-compliant bid. That was the last and final answer from MoDOT. There was no discussion, no negotiation. And at that point, we were then defaulted to the Demeen bid. So that's the process that we went through. It wasn't for the lack of trying, but that's we readily recognized that there was a $33,000 difference on the line. In this project, I believe we have a 10% match. So we were able to secure a supplemental award on this through funds that are about to expire in the MoDOT Airport program that upped the grant to allow us to do both of these projects at the same time. We get a grant every year from MoDOT. That's kind of an annual grant that was going to take care of initially the terminal rehab and and we were going to hold off on the other work. But with this other money coming through, this now allows us to do both the terminal rehab and the water well supply at the same time.
Okay. It looks, one second if that's all right. It looks like it went out to 5 contractors. Did your department hear anything back from the other 3 that according to the?
I'd have to check on that
They just
to tell you
didn't respond
for
at
certain
all.
on that. Typically, you know, we will send them out and via email to contacts. I don't know, honestly, what the extent of contact was after that.
Okay. All right, Mr. Hammond.
So if we don't move forward with this, since most of the money's coming from the feds, and obviously the bureaucrats there don't realize that they can save some money, but then can we rebid this, or is there a chance of losing this funding?
We're going to lose the portion that, and part of the grant that is included in the bill you have before you tonight, is that grouping of funds that's referred to as turnaround funds, where projects were on the books for a period of time that didn't materialize throughout the state, and MoDOT is redirecting this money now to jurisdictions that can use it. I think it's about $190,000. And that money is on the bubble that, in fact, I think Dennis Wiss, our airport director, is, I don't know if he made arrangements to send the paperwork electronically tomorrow. He may indeed have to drive the paperwork, assuming it gets approved tonight, to Jefferson City tomorrow in order for us to capture the $190,000 portion of this grant.
Any other questions on this item? Okay. I'll make a motion, then we go ahead and accept the bid from Demeen Construction.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Okay, getting back to the agenda. Okay, next we have resolution number 1409.
Resolution number 1409, sponsored by John White, a resolution reappointing Rick Higgins to the Board of Trustees of the Greens Bottom Levy District. Whereas pursuant to the St. Charles County Charter, Article 10, Section 10.608, 2014, and Section 245.335, Revised Statutes of Missouri, 2000 as amended, the County Council passed Resolution 10-14, appointing 3 owners or representatives of owners of land within the Greens Bottom Levy District to its Board of Directors for the staggered terms stated in that resolution. And whereas the 3 directors appointed by Resolution 10-14 were Rick Higgins as representative of owner Duckett Creek Sanitary District, Larry Osman and Dan Hackman as representative of owner Hackman Brothers Incorporated. And whereas by Resolution 11-14 passed on September 26, 2011, the County Council reappointed Rick Higgins. By Resolution 12-14 passed on October 29, 2012, the County Council reappointed Larry Osman. And by Resolution 13-13 passed on October 15, 2013, the County Council reappointed Dan Hackman to new 3-year terms upon expiration of their first terms. And whereas the County Council now seeks to reappoint Rick Higgins to a new 3-year term because his 3-year term is expiring and because he has consented to that reappointment. Now therefore be it resolved by the County Council of St. Charles County, Missouri as follows. Section 1, the St. Charles County Council reappoints Rick Higgins to the Board of Trustees for the Greens Bottom Levy District for a 3-year term beginning October 25, 2014.
Any questions on the resolution? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
A resolution reappointing Rick Higgins to the Board of Trustees of the Greens Bottom Levy District. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Okay, the resolution passes. Next, we have bills for final passage. Don, if you'll read the first one, please.
Bill number 4128, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A Agricultural District, 5-acre minimum lot size, and A FW Agricultural District, 5-acre minimum lot size with floodway overlay district to R1A, single-family residential district, 1-acre minimum lot size, and R1A FW, single-family residential district, 1-acre minimum lot size with floodway overlay district as per application 23856.
Any questions or comments on it? Roll call vote, please.
An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A agricultural district, 5-acre minimum lot size, and A FW agricultural district, 5-acre minimum lot size with floodway overlay district to R1A single-family residential district, 1-acre minimum lot size, and R1A FW single-family residential district, 1-acre minimum lot size with floodway overlay district as per application 23856. Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
yes,
Okay, bill number 4129.
Bill number 4129, an ordinance authorizing execution of Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission State Block Grant Agreement, Amendment Number 1, Airport Improvement Program Grant, Project 13-111A-2, and accepting said grant in the amount of $407,772 for expenses associated with airport terminal renovations and installing a new water system at Smart Airport, and further amending Ordinance 13-092, the budget of St. Charles County, Missouri, to reflect receipt of said grant.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you roll call vote, please.
An ordinance authorizing execution of Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission State Block Grant Agreement Amendment Number 1, Airport Improvement Program Grant, Project 13-111A-2, and accepting said grant in the amount of $407,772 for expenses associated with airport terminal renovations and installing a new water system at Smart Airport, and further amending Ordinance 13-092, the budget of St. Charles County, Missouri, to reflect receipt of said grant. Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
yes,
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Thank you. Bill number 4130.
Bill number 4130, an ordinance approving a Fourth Amendment to the intergovernmental agreement with the City of St. Charles for the extension of West Clay.
Any questions or comments on this one? Seeing none, if you'll call a vote.
An ordinance approving a Fourth Amendment to the intergovernmental agreement with the City of St. Charles for the extension of West Clay. Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
yes,
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Okay, bill number 4131.
Bill number 4131, an ordinance authorizing acceptance of the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ, up to the amount of $12,811 for the purchase of equipment for the cybercrime unit.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, if you call the vote.
An ordinance authorizing acceptance of the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ, up to the amount of $12,811 for the purchase of equipment for the cybercrime unit. Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
yes,
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes. Bill number 4132.
Bill number 4132, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a memorandum of understanding between the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services and the St. Charles County Department of Community Health and the Environment related to providing medications for the treatment of sexually transmitted diseases and collaborating to reduce the incidences of sexually transmitted diseases.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, if you'll call the vote.
An ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a memorandum of understanding between the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services and the St. Charles County Department of Community Health and the Environment related to providing medications for the treatment of sexually transmitted diseases and collaborating to reduce the incidences of sexually transmitted diseases. Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
yes,
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Bill number 4133.
Bill number 4133, an ordinance fixing and establishing the rate and levying of taxes for the General Revenue Fund and for various special funds of and for the County of St. Charles, Missouri for the year 2014.
What's so funny?
Did you see Council?
He's got a bottle of peanuts. Since John didn't bring us any, there they are. Any questions or comments?
I'll make a comment. We haven't raised taxes in this county in what, 14, 15, 16 years, as far as I know, as long as I've been on council. So, I mean, the people should be, that's one thing that we should, people should recognize,
Yep, absolutely. Any other questions, comments? Roll call vote, please.
An ordinance fixing and establishing the rate and levying of taxes for the General Revenue Fund and for various special funds of and for the County of St. Charles, Missouri for the year 2014. Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Okay, next we have bills for introduction. We have one bill, number 4134, and that's authorizing the purchase of ADA accessible voting booths. This one, to refresh
Excuse me,
everybody's
Mike.
memory.
I'll need to read the title.
Okay, go ahead.
Bill number
Yeah.
4134, requested by Rich Krismer, sponsored by Mike Klinghammer, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of ADA accessible voting booths from Henry M. Adkins and Son Incorporated for use in elections.
Okay. This one came before us before. We only had, it was right before the last election, and we went back out for bids again. The results were pretty much the same. The bid came down a little bit from Henry Atkins Company. They were still the second lowest bid, and I believe Mr. Krismer would like to talk to us about why we should approve Atkins over Election Source.
Oh, one question though, Mike.
Yes, go ahead.
Refresh my memory. We approved this by the consent agenda, didn't we? To
No.
go with the election source?
I'm not sure if it was on the consent agenda originally or if it was an ordinance.
It was originally on the consent agenda because the Department of Finance had recommended it the first time based on the department's request that the value of the warranty was worth a $3,850 difference, that it was a 5-year warranty instead, or 10-year warranty instead of a 5-year warranty. And you all rejected that and approved the low bidder. There was a determination made at that point then that the terms of that bid couldn't be met because of the delivery date problem, and so it was rebid.
Okay. And it came to us now as an ordinance rather than the consent agenda.
And the reason for that is that when the bid came forward, it was actually slightly under $25,000 because Henry Atkins and Sons lowered their bid by $700. But because of the fact that the reason for not taking the low bidder was identical to the earlier reason that you all had rejected, we declined to agree to the purchase and indicated to Mr. Krismer's office when Mr. Hefner called me on his behalf that while we had no problem with the overall purchase of the booths, we could not agree to not choosing the low bidder under these circumstances, and that we wouldn't send it on the consent agenda because we weren't recommending it, but that he could request a bill and make his case to you all.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we didn't need to send it on the consent. It's under 25,000.
Right, that's what I just said. We rejected signing it.
We didn't need to send it on the consent agenda. We just, because of the reasons that Joanne suggested, we just didn't want to make a unilateral decision on this without giving you all a chance to at least express your opinion.
Okay. Joe, do you have any other questions?
No, that was my question. So the council approved the 21,000, I just want to make sure before you get started. So we approved the 21,000, but then that's not what we're going to do. So that's why it's not on the consent agenda, because normally this is on the consent agenda. So for that reason, is that why it's a bill?
Right.
I guess.
It's not, the consent agenda is the ones that administration says, we agree with all these, we're endorsing them. This one they didn't.
Okay.
And the reason that the last one was not able to be fulfilled was we passed it, and 4 or 5 days later, they needed to have those booths in. The company could not deliver them that fast. It was a matter of just a few days between our council meeting and when the delivery date needed to be received for those booths.
Okay. Can
Okay.
I,
That's kind of the background. Anybody else, questions on the background? No. Mr. Christopher?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You're correct, in July, we did that. I recommended the best bid, not the lowest, and the bid process does say we should be selecting the lowest best bid. The county council tonight rejected a lower bid on the airport by $33,000 because the company couldn't comply. Well, the company that you all approved was not able to comply with the date that they said, they signed an agreement for their bid that they would comply with the bid requirements. Bid requirements were that we would receive the voting booths by a certain date, a date certain. Mr. Hammond asked a question at the meeting, what if he cannot deliver the bid? He didn't get really an answer for that. Mr. Snur, the director of budget, went and called the other company, and they said, we can't comply. I said, Atkins can. So if the other company cannot comply, they're not a qualified bid. They said they can comply, but then they said they couldn't. Tonight, you rejected a bid for $33,000 because they couldn't comply with a bid. So I don't really think this should be a bill, but because of the situation, it was a consent agenda, we're putting it on as a bill. I told you before that this is a better product. I did some research on both companies. The booth of the other company does not have X-brace non-collapsible legs. You have to put them together with aluminum pins that go through grommets that you lean on it. Any one of you know, Mr. Cronin especially knows, that aluminum pins can bend if you put any pressure on them. We have a situation where the writing shelf is made with, the other company is made with aluminum rolled, aluminum poles, and it has to be assembled. And it comes in pieces, and it has grommets on the end that can also snap. They're aluminum pins that can't snap. The Atkins has a solid shelf that will not interrupt the assembly of the booth as our judges are assembling them. When you all went with the other bid, and we found out that the other company couldn't comply by the delivery date that they themselves said they could do. When they signed the bid, they said we can comply, but they couldn't. I don't trust them. They're from Michigan. I don't know if these people can do anything for me. I don't know if I know they're not the best bid. The county actually suggested, since we couldn't get the booths in time for the election, we could have with Atkins. Atkins said they could get them to us on time as specified on the bid. We could have had those booths, but we didn't. The county suggested card tables. Card tables do not have braces. Wheelchairs do not fit under card tables. You're going to take a $3,000 voting machine and put it on a card table.
Actually, the county did not suggest card tables.
No, you did.
The county suggested folding tables, because I'm the one that suggested it as an alternative. So it wasn't a card table.
I was told a card table. I was told a card table by
Technicality,
somebody.
but go
It wasn't you.
Let me ask some questions,
Go
Richard. You said that the delivery date couldn't be met. At that time, what was the delivery date?
I believe it was like 7 days before the election, which would have been, the election was the 5th of August, probably the 28th of July.
20th of July?
Something like
Okay,
that.
so at that point, after that point, then both vendors weren't going to meet the spec. So at that point, what difference does the date mean? Why does the date mean anything?
Atkins could have delivered it on time.
I know, but they didn't at that time.
Because they weren't awarded a bid. They're not going to order equipment delivered here without knowing that they're going to be paid.
But my question is now, the date is irrelevant at this point, okay?
because
So-
we're past that date.
Yeah, we're past the date.
Right,
So
I
that the
understand.
dates are relevant. So the next question is the pins and the supports. Was that part of the specification?
Yes.
That
It
was in
says
the
specifically, your bid should have, booth must have, reading from the bid, must have non-collapsible X braces. This other company does not have non-collapsible X braces. Booth must have a one-piece aluminum riding shelf. Theirs is not a riding, they have aluminum tubes, and they have a piece of formica that goes on top of it. It's not a one-piece. They're not fulfilling the requirements of the bid. They weren't fulfilling them before. That's why I said, the bid, I'm following the bid process that is set up by this county. And it says you select the lowest, best bid. When you gentlemen vote on a police car, I'm sure you go to the sheriff and say, is this what we should buy? When you buy a dump truck from the highway department, I bet you go to the highway department and said, is this what you need? Give us the specs, what you need. Why are you not doing the same thing with the election authority? No one in this room has as much qualifications to administer elections as I do, through 12 years of experience. This experience, the other bid was $2,800 difference. Now, $2,800 is a lot of money. And any citizen in this county would love us to write a check and give them $2,800. I'm not saying it's not a small amount of money, but you do get what you pay for. I watch where our money is spent.
Well,
This last
Richard,
This last
that's-
week, I saved $80,000 to the county.
All right, no, that's fine, but state a point here. Bob, let me just ask a question here. I mean, at this point, you went back to the date. The dates are relevant. So let's not even talk about the date anymore, because we're
Now,
past
the
and
new
that's
co-
gone.
the-
So
both
now we're
companies should
talking,
now
now we're
comply.
just talking about the difference in the money that the council approved, the $21,000 one.
Bob, if you could come up to the microphone, please.
So all I want to know is, and it's a simple question, Bob, did the low vendor not meet the spec with the supports and whatever that Mr. Krismer's talking about? What he just mentioned, is that a fact, is that in the spec, and did it not hit the spec?
One and two are the things that are required.
I can handle this, Rich. I'm not aware of any criteria in the bid specs that Election Source is non-compliant with. And I guess at this point, we'll have to go back and look at it. We have until the first meeting in October to sort out any allegations about non-compliance on the features of the Election Source tables. If that was an issue, I'm not sure why it wasn't addressed in July, but we'll look at it now. Nothing's come to light at this point that says that those tables are non-compliant. We couldn't do anything other than what the council agreed to do in July because we were out of time. The meeting where that decision was made predated the deployment of those tables by about 3 days. So at that point, you all had awarded to Election Source. Adkins didn't get the award. So while Adkins said they could deliver, it was irrelevant because they were not awarded the bid. Election Source said in their bid documents that they needed 30 days lead time. So it was a non-starter, basically, with the decision that was made in the July meeting. We'll look at it and see where any difference is in the bid specs versus what the features of this table are. We can deal directly with the vendor on those. So, at this point, we do know that Election Source this time can deliver with 4 days' notice. So the timeline that's still in place now, with the first meeting in October being the date that this bill would be voted upon, is still enough time for delivery if that's the decision that we
Bob,
go
if you could, would you ask both companies to send us a schematic drawing of their tables?
Sure.
Just so that I can get a better understanding of what all is involved, if it's that involved putting these tables together or not.
Sure.
Okay? Yeah.
If the spec set, if Mr.
Right.
Krismer's
Well, and of
correct,
course.
we
Yeah,
have to know that too. And I mean, if we got to be consistent, if it was in the spec.
I got you. Right. Mr. Cronin has a question as well.
Yes, both of those gladly sent St. and
Hey,
a copy.
Joe, I'm going to cut you off for just a second. We're having a problem with your microphone. Could you restate the question?
I would think both of the vendors would be willing to send samples and copies of their warranties for the council's consideration.
Okay.
The warranty was listed in the bid that Atkins provided. It said 10-year. It said 10 years. The other county said 5.
What Mr. Cronin's asking for.
They're
is
from
a-
Michigan.
Just a minute. What Mr. Cronin's asking for is a copy of the warranty, what's covered and what's not.
Well, and he was
So-
saying that they would probably give us a sample of the tables so we can actually see them and figure out, because it sounds to me like the argument that you're making is the higher bidder is a better quality table than the lower bid, and you have a longer warranty, and that the table, but everything is all included, you don't have to piece it together, so therefore you're getting a better product. Am I understanding your
That's
argument
absolutely
correctly?
correct. That's what our disabled voters deserve. They
And I
don't
think what
deserve
Mr.
folding
Cronin's
tables.
asking for is to be able to actually see the material, not to put words in your mouth, Joe, but it sounds like you're asking for a sample so we can actually see what it is that we're approving and if the quality really is that much different or if they're pretty much the same thing. Excellent.
And I'll remind everybody, we're in Missouri, so it's the show me state.
Show
So,
me state, I agree,
show
but
me.
I want to finish my statement. I do watch the pennies that come through my department. In the last 2 weeks, I saved this county $80,000. How did I do that? We had to get ballots printed for the absentee ballots, absentee election, which started last Tuesday. 70% of the counties in this state printed ballots. They didn't use their election experience. You don't print ballots when there's ballot language being challenged in court. They printed their ballots, guess what? They got to reprint all their ballots. It's costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're asking the Secretary of State to pay for it. He's not at fault. The election authorities should have been watching. That's what my experience does. I did not print the ballots.
And we
can
start-
print them on demand now. Anybody wants to vote, they can. But the actual printed ballot, there's none in the entire state.
Okay, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
That's not on the agenda tonight, so we
Oh,
gotta.
no, I'm just saying how I save money.
I
You know,
gotcha.
some people in the back of the room complain that I try to not
But
watch money.
Tonight's not a night for advertising, so.
I'm not
we appreciate it.
advertising. I'm not wearing a hat that
Thank-
says something that he's running
you.
for.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Krismer. We certainly appreciate your
Mike,
comment.
just to recap, from what I understand, you're not asking these vendors to send a sample table. I mean, this is not a big order, and that's going to cost them money to be messing around with this
That's what
silliness.
Mr. Cronin has asked for. If they will send them, that's fine. I asked for a simple drawing of it. Joe would like to see one in person.
I mean, this is ridiculous that we spent all this time on this, but I get why, I get it.
Right.
But the thing is the bottom line is, if the spec had braces and all that, and it wasn't, if it was truly in the spec, and Bob's gonna check, and they don't have it, then it's a done deal. It's gotta be in the spec.
Right.
I mean, it's as simple as that.
We need to watch the specs when they go out so that we don't single source it also. Okay. We have one remaining item, that is the tabled bills. Mr. Brazel, do you want to remove that from the table tonight?
Yeah, I make a motion to remove Bill 4123.
Okay, motion been made to remove it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Been seconded also. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Okay. Joe, do you have any comments on this?
I'll just
or-
make it simple. When we talked to the gentleman, I apologize, I don't get your name, but.
Mr. Percival. Mr. Percival.
Mr. Percival, okay. We asked several questions, I know Mr. Cronin did, that we asked if anybody had any concerns about your shed being close to the line, and you told us no. And we've got tons of letters and correspondence that this has been going on for some while, and that's just not what. We saw the letters dated from way back, and so this has been an ongoing issue. So this is not a news flash, and so I'm not going to support this. I was really in your corner there for a while, but I think that you knew exactly what you were doing, and you know, you could just come to cut them 6x6s and move that shit over 5 feet or whatever it is, whatever the variant or whatever the thing is, but. It could, if it was an honest mistake, that's one thing, but we saw correspondence where you were being notified that that was. That's just.
Okay. Any other sir, this isn't the time for debate back and forth. Any other comments from the council? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Dave,
Do you have something to say?
David?
Dave,
No,
I'm sorry.
no,
I didn't,
I'm not in support of it either,
okay.
but that'll come with my vote.
Tabled Bill 4123, an ordinance reversing the Board of Zoning Adjustments decision in variance 22777 related to 15 Green Mountain Court. Councilmember Cronin?
No.
Okay, so a no, okay, no votes, you're not supporting the, okay, no then, yes.
Councilmember
No,
Cronin?
no, I do not support it, the variance. Huh?
He said no. Now you're up.
Okay.
Oh,
Councilmember Brazel?
oh, no.
Councilmember Elam?
No.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
No.
Councilmember Hammond?
No.
Councilmember Hollander?
No.
Councilmember White?
Okay. The resolution, or the bill failed, the resolution, the reversing of the board's decision did not pass, therefore their decision stands. Any announcements or miscellaneous items?
Mr. Cronin?
Mr. Cronin?
I'd like to thank Jack Gamble and Tom Ostertag and Donna and Carol for all the work to get this done. And the good folks in Branson and Dolly Park and Yakov Spirit Company send their regards.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, and it is a neat piece of technology that allows this to happen now. Thank you, Joe. With that, the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it.